Revealed. The incredible journey of a family rediscovered after 10 years of painful separation. In the heart of Maplewood, where mornings greet the horizon with whispered promises of hope, Mary stood in her sun-drenched field. The soil crumbled beneath her fingers, but the weight on her heart was heavier than the plow she wielded. At 35, with 2 children to raise and a farm to keep alive, she was the embodiment of grit. Every day she fought not just for survival, but to protect the last flickers of joy in her children's eyes. The chatter of cicadas mingled with the rustle of leaves, but the silence of an absent father loomed like a thunderstorm ready to burst. Jake and Lily, her sweet kids, deserved better than the shadows of despair their father's wrongful imprisonment cast upon them. Every birthday without messages from Dad felt like a hollow ache. Family gatherings turned to whispers behind closed doors, leaving her to navigate the choppy waters alone. Maplewood had once rallied around her, showering sympathy like sunshine on a cold day. But as the years passed, that warmth faded, clouded by judgments born of misunderstanding. She heard the hushed tones, the sideways glances. "Oh, it's Mary, poor thing," it stung every time like a longing for warmth in the dead of winter. Then came the call. A paralegal on the line, voice steady amid her own storm, a breakthrough. New evidence could exonerate her husband. Hope like a fiery comet ignited in her chest, lighting a path that had been shrouded in dark clouds for too long. But mingled with that spark was a tremor of doubt. The whispers fueled her hesitation. Would her neighbors shift their eyes away from prejudice to see the truth? That he was innocent? That they were worthy of empathy? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Mary began her rally for justice, dropping flyers in the post office and speaking at town meetings, she noticed a shift. Heads that once turned away now bobbed in quiet interest. A neighbor brought over baked goods. Another offered to lend a hand on the farm. Could it be? Was the tide turning? But just as the glimmers of community started to shine, old resentments stirred, raising walls around a collective heart that had forgotten its compassion. When the day came her husband's release, Mary held her breath. Tears streamed down her face as she ran to embrace him, the family all but whole again. But the mixed reactions from the townsfolk reminded her they still had battles to face. Old prejudices stubbornly hung in the air, a reminder of the scars that lingered. Mary and her family had to choose. Would they rise above the shadows, or would the past haunt their present? In the bittersweet embrace of gathering clouds, Mary knew a choice lingered. Could they unite against the weight of judgment? Would their love and resilience be enough to pave a new way forward? An uncertain future stretched out before them like the wide-open fields of Maplewood, beautiful, yet unpredictable. The unknown beckoned, and the stakes have never been higher. The sun dipped low in the sky as the family stood together, feeling the warmth of each other's presence like a shield against the looming uncertainty. Mary watched her husband, Tom, as he knelt to greet Jake and Lily, his once familiar face lined with unfamiliar sorrow and hope. There was an awkwardness in the air, like stepping onto the brittle ice of a thawing pond. Would they pick up where they left off? Or would the years of separation twist the fabric of their once close-knit family beyond recognition? "Dad!" Jake shouted, his voice laced with delight. "You're finally home." He dashed forward, throwing his arms around Tom, as if his hug alone could erase the decades spent in shadows. Lily, not wanting to be left out, quickly joined her brother, her little arms struggling to wrap around them both. Tom's eyes sparkled, but as he held them close, Mary saw the glimmer of pain mixed in. He had missed so much: birthdays, school plays, even just the everyday moments that knitted a family together. There was love, yes, but an underlying tension crackled in the air like static, an unfinished business lingering on the tip of their tongues. "Let us go home," Mary finally said, her voice steady despite the storm inside her. She turned, leading them away from the chaos of onlookers still murmuring beneath breaths full of rumors, a chilling reminder of the work still ahead. As they walked, she felt her heart tug between love and fear. What awaited them back at the farm? Would the walls still hold the memories of laughter, or the echoes of hushed criticism? Once inside, the house felt both welcoming and foreign. There were remnants of the past everywhere, the family photos that seemed to smile back at them, celebrating moments of an incomplete journey. Mary could feel nostalgia creeping in, cold and uninvited. She busied herself in the kitchen, putting together a simple meal, trying to shake off the weight of everyone's eyes outside. Tom trailed behind her, his presence a soothing balm. "I can help," he offered, stepping toward the sink. They worked side by side, the clanging of dishes and the scent of simmering spices slowly building a bridge where words failed. "Mom, can we have our favorite dessert?" Lily piped up, her eyes lighting up with hope. Mary smiled, her heart fluttering at the request. "Of course, sweetie. Just like old times." As they sat around the table, the first meal together in years, the food tasted bittersweet, rich with flavors but clouded by tension. Conversation started timidly, like the first sprigs of grass pushing through winter's frost. Tom asked the kids about school, but the questions hung heavy, the answers met with silence or bashful glances. Then, just as Mary thought they might find solace in the moment, Tom lowered his fork, his face clouding with concern. "I know things have changed and I haven't been there when you needed me most," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I want to make it right, but I don't know how." The words fell like stones, heavy and raw. Jake and Lily exchanged worried looks, and Mary felt her stomach twist. They had all struggled silently, but now the cracks were showing. "Maybe we can start small," Mary interjected, hopeful yet uncertain. "Let us take it day by day. We can heal together." Tom nodded, but doubts flickered across his face, casting shadows on the fragile bond they were trying to rebuild. Could they truly break free from the past, or would it always cling to their feet like stubborn roots? That night, as Mary lay in bed, the weight of the day settled like lead upon her chest. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, a reminder that life continued to flow, unpredictable and alive. What would tomorrow bring? Could they face the wounds that needed healing? Or would the scars always dictate their path forward? As Mary stared at the ceiling, the questions spiraled in her mind. When morning came, a surprise awaited her that would change everything. The doorbell ringing, echoing through the silence of the house. Mary's heart raced as she slid out of bed, the sound of the doorbell echoing in her mind like a drum. Who could it be? The morning light filtered through the curtains, illuminating the dust motes suspended in the air, but it did little to settle the apprehension that coursed through her. She wiped her palms on her pajama shorts, took a deep breath and glanced at the clock. It was early, too early for visitors. Tom's voice drifted from the kitchen, an uncertain cheerfulness spilling out despite their unspoken tension from the previous night. She made her way down the hallway and paused at the entrance. "Shouldn't you sit with the kids?" she called out, hesitating. "Just checking on breakfast," he replied, the clang of pots and pans creating a strange rhythm in the quiet house. But the doorbell rang again, urgent this time. With each step towards the door, uncertainty crawled further up her spine. She opened it slowly, revealing a woman standing there, her face etched with familiarity that sent a jolt through Mary. It was Emily, her childhood friend and confidant, the person who had stood by her during Tom's absence. The ghost of their shared laughter echoed in Mary's mind, bittersweet. "Mary," Emily breathed, eyes wide with astonishment at the sight of her. "I heard Tom was back. I couldn't wait to see for myself." "Emily, I didn't expect to see you," Mary stammered, pulling her into a tight embrace. It felt right but also complicated, a knot of emotions swirling within her. "Is that really him?" Emily asked, her voice dropping to a whisper as if afraid to disrupt the fragile air around them. "After all these years?" Mary nodded, tears prickling at the corner of her eyes. "It's been overwhelming." Without another word, Emily stepped inside, and they walked together into the kitchen. Jake and Lily were perched at the table, still half asleep but intrigued by the arrival. Tom turned, his expression caught somewhere between joy and tension as he met Emily's gaze. "Oh wow, look who it is," Jake exclaimed, now fully awake and lighting up the room. He jumped from his seat and rushed over, throwing his arms around Emily, who laughed lightly in surprise. Mary's heart becalmed for a moment, watching their reunion. But then reality crept back in, thick and heavy, as she remembered the unresolved feelings that lingered between her, Tom, and every person linked to their story. Tom, Emily said, stepping back to size him up. After everything, it's good to see you back. Her voice was steady, but Mary could hear the underlying curiosity, perhaps even caution. Thanks, Emily, Tom replied, his tone humble. They exchanged awkward smiles that hinted at shared histories. As the morning unfolded, the air around them filled with a mix of light-hearted banter and hesitant small talk. Moments stretched and stuttered, everyone navigating the depths of the unspoken wounds that lingered just beneath the surface. The warmth of Emily's presence provided a temporary shield. Yet beneath the laughter, Mary felt an ache of apprehension. Tom, I've been meaning to talk to you, Mary started quietly. But as she did, Tom's gaze drifted to the kids laughing with Emily. A timeless bond sparkled in their interactions, and it felt like a reminder of how much time had slipped through their fingers. Before she could continue, the doorbell rang once more, slicing through the tension like a knife. Mary exchanged glances with Tom, who seemed unsettled. I'll get it, she said, her heart pounding. But as she opened the door this time, her breath caught in her throat. Standing before her was a figure from their past, one that would irrevocably change everything. Surprise! The visitor exclaimed, an unexpected smile spreading across their face. Panic bubbled within Mary, who knew the intricate web of her family's turmoil. What did this person want, and how would their presence affect the fragile peace they had just begun to mend? Mary's heart pounded as she stood frozen in place, staring at the person before her. It was Sarah, her sister. The very sight of her sent a flare of emotions through Mary. Years had turned into shadows stretching across their once tight bond. But here she was, standing on the threshold like a ghost returned from the past. Sarah. The name fled from her lips, half a mixture of joy and confusion. What are you doing here? Mary managed to ask, glancing back into the kitchen, where the laughter had turned to silence, the atmosphere suddenly electric with tension. I had to come when I heard Tom was back, Sarah said, her voice laced with an urgency that Mary couldn't quite place. I know things have been rough, but I couldn't just sit by. Tom stepped forward, his brow furrowed. This is a surprise, Sarah. You weren't supposed to come back until... His voice trailed off, revealing a wound that had never quite healed. Until what? The dust settled? Sarah shot back, her tone sharper than Mary had expected. Everyone, maybe we should take a breath, Emily interjected, stepping forward to diffuse the brewing storm. But Mary could see that Emily, too, was taken aback by Sarah's sudden arrival. Jake and Lily stood wide-eyed, caught in the middle of what felt like a family explosion. Everything Mary had thought was behind them came crashing down with Sarah's arrival. A reminder of everything they had endured and lost. Sarah, Mary said, trying to hold her ground amidst the turmoil. We had a plan, remember? We were getting there. I know we had a plan, but plans change, Sarah replied, her voice trembling slightly. I'm in a place where I can be here now, and I want to be part of this again. We're a family, right? Tom clenched his jaw, his gaze unwavering on Sarah. And Mary could see the storm inside him brewing as he weighed every unspoken word, every shared memory. You want to be part of this? He asked, his voice low, almost confrontational. After running off and leaving us to deal with enough. Mary's voice cut through the air, filled with a mixture of hurt and defiance. This isn't just about you two. It's about all of us. Tears filled her eyes as she turned to face her sister. I don't know what has changed for you, but can't we try to talk? To figure this out. Emily stood in the background, placing a comforting hand on Jake's shoulder. The little boy glanced up, confused but hopeful. Can we have cake now? A childish comment that somehow broke the tension, drawing a reluctant smile from Mary. Cake sounds great, buddy, Mary said, her heart racing. But she could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. They could have cake, but the real question loomed larger. Could they truly heal? As the silence melted into hesitant laughter and light chatter about dessert, the unresolved heartaches churned just beneath the surface. Tom's gaze no longer flickered toward Sarah, as if he had come to some understanding the past could reshape itself anew. But would it ever truly heal? Just then the door creaked slightly as a breeze swept through, casting a shiver down Mary's spine. She looked back at Sarah, who was now standing on the threshold, visibly shaken. Mary, can we talk? Alone? Sarah's voice had softened, revealing a glimmer of vulnerability. Sure, Mary said quietly, her heart racing again. But this time for an entirely different reason. As Sarah led her outside to the yard, the impending words hung thick in the air. What could Sarah possibly say that would rewrite the years of pain and misunderstandings? The moment of truth was upon them. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the yard. Mary felt the weight of the silence pressing down on them as they stepped outside. The laughter and chatter from the kitchen faded into a hum, leaving her heart pounding in her ears. The air felt charged, as if it was holding its breath for what was about to unfold. Sarah turned to face her, her face a mixture of apprehension and hope. Mary could see tears pooling in her sister's eyes, an echo of the vulnerability she had shown earlier. "Mary," Sarah began, her voice shaking slightly. "I know I've been gone for too long. I've missed so much and I've missed you. I'm sorry for what happened." The words hung in the air between them. Mary swallowed hard, grappling with the anger and hurt, but also a flicker of the love that still remained in her heart. "You just left, Sarah. You left me to face everything alone. You just vanished." "I know," Sarah said, stepping closer. "But I was struggling. I thought you would be better off without me dragging you down. I wanted to fix myself before trying to come back. But then life happened and I lost myself even more. When I heard Tom was back, I knew I had to come. I couldn't just run away anymore." Mary felt a surge of empathy mixed with the memories of their childhood, the laughter, the late-night secrets. "You could have reached out. We could have figured something out together," she replied, her voice trembling. "I know," Sarah replied, her eyes pleading. "I was scared. I thought you'd be upset with me. I didn't want to ruin what we had. But seeing Tom, it made me realize how important family is. I've been lonely these last years." Mary crossed her arms, a defense mechanism against the flood of emotions. "Loneliness doesn't just go away by showing up, Sarah. Trust takes time to rebuild. I don't want to go through the pain of losing you again. I understand. I don't expect everything to be perfect overnight," Sarah replied softly. "But I want the chance to try to make things right. Can we start slowly?" Looking into her sister's eyes, Mary saw the shadow of the girl she used to call her best friend. The years of hurt were still there. Yet so was a glimmer of hope that things could change. The air felt lighter as the vulnerability between them began to weave a fragile thread of connection. "Maybe we can," Mary said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it's going to be hard. It's not just going to be us. It's going to involve everyone, including Tom." "Can you talk to him?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with desperation. "I can't fix this without facing the past together. I need him to understand why I left." Mary felt a pang of uncertainty. He deserves to know the whole story, but it wouldn't be easy for him either. They stood there, the weight of the moment anchoring them in place. The shadows of the past loomed large, but the sliver of hope glimmered just enough to keep the conversation going. "I'll do my best," Mary finally said. "But you have to promise me something. No more running. If you're here, you need to stay. We face this together." "Together," Sarah echoed, a faint smile breaking through her tears. Just then, a loud laugh from inside pulled them back to reality. They both turned toward the kitchen, a new wave of noise swirling in. Mary knew they had only just begun. But standing next to Sarah, she felt that maybe, just maybe, the road ahead might lead them back to the sisterhood they once shared. "Let us head back," Mary suggested, her heart still pounding but now filled with a cautious optimism. But as they stepped back toward the door, Sarah hesitated. "Wait, Mary, there's something I haven't told you." A rush of dread mixed with curiosity held Mary in place. What more could she possibly reveal? The moment of truth had only just begun. Mary's heart raced, each beat echoing in her chest as she turned to face Sarah. The moment hung between them, heavy with anticipation. She could see the struggle on her sister's face, a mixture of fear and determination barely concealed beneath the surface. "What is it?" Mary asked, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling inside her. She could feel the distant laughter from the kitchen growing fainter, every other sound fading in the presence of this new revelation. Sarah took a deep breath, her shoulders rising and falling like the tide. "When I left, it wasn't just about me. There are things you don't know. Things that might change how you see everything." Mary's stomach twisted. The words felt like a warning, a prelude to something far more significant than she was ready to handle. "What do you mean? Just tell me." "I didn't just leave town, Mary. I changed my name. I started over completely. It was easier to vanish than to face the wreckage of my life, Sarah said, her voice cracking as she spoke. But I also did something worse. I made choices that hurt people. Choices that put our family in jeopardy. Mary stared at her sister, her mind racing to catch up. What choices? What are you talking about? There was a flicker of pain that crossed Sarah's face, and Mary felt her own heart break a little. I was involved with some things I shouldn't have been. I got mixed up with people who weren't good for me, and I thought escaping would solve everything. I didn't want you to get dragged into that. Mary's mind whirled. What does that mean? Is someone coming after you? Are you in danger? No. Sarah's panic made her voice rise higher, and she quickly stepped closer to catch Mary's gaze. I'm not in danger now. But what I did, those choices. They hurt Tom too. I never wanted to hurt him, Mary. I thought I could outrun it all, but then I realized I was wrong. I need him to know the truth. Mary's breath caught in her throat. Tom had suffered his own demons when Sarah disappeared. The mess of their family was still fresh in his mind, a scar that hasn't fully healed. Anger washed over her. So you think reopening those wounds is going to help? You expect him to forgive you just like that? No. I just want him to understand, Sarah pleaded, her fingers nervously fidgeting. I want us to face this together. But for that to happen, you need to promise me you'll help. Let us lay everything out in the open. I want the chance to apologize to show him I've changed. Mary was torn. She wanted to protect Tom, but she also could feel her sister's desperation. A plea buried deep beneath years of heartache. Trust was fragile, but the love they once shared was still buried there, aching to be remembered. I don't know if he'll want to hear it, Mary whispered. The thought of Tom's pain mixed with her sister's truth felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. But I'll talk to him, I'll try. A hesitant smile crept across Sarah's face, but Mary could see the mixture of fear swimming in her sister's eyes. Thank you, she said softly, relief washing over her. I just hope he can see that I'm not that lost girl anymore. Mary nodded but silently wondered. What if the truth didn't set them free but instead tore them apart for good? Let us go inside, Mary suggested, trying to steady her own beating heart. She glanced at the kitchen door, where the sound of laughter was now mingled with the scent of food wafting through the air. But as they moved toward the door, the dread of what was to come loomed ahead. Was their journey back to sisterhood about to be derailed? Mary, do you think Tom will forgive me? Sarah asked, her voice trembling with a mix of hope and fear. Mary paused, lingering at the threshold. She wished she could offer her sister the reassurance she desperately craved. As they stepped inside, the weight of uncertainty settled around them. The laughter continued, but shadows of the past lurked at the edges of the room. The truth was waiting, and soon all would be revealed. Would it bring them closer together? Or drive a deeper wedge between them? Let us find out, Mary thought as she opened the door, bracing herself for the confrontation that was about to unfold. The moment they stepped into the kitchen, the warmth enveloped Mary like a blanket, a stark contrast to the chill of uncertainty swirling inside her. Laughter bubbled up, a harmonious melody that carried scents of roasting meat and baking bread. Their family was gathered, completely oblivious to the impending confrontation that lay ahead. Tom stood near the stove, his back to them, focused on stirring a simmering pot. His hair glistened under the kitchen lights, golden brown and slightly tousled. Mary found herself momentarily caught up in small details, cherishing the flicker of normalcy that still existed in their lives. But it quickly faded as she turned to Sarah, whose face was twisted with fear and anticipation. Should I? Mary whispered, her voice barely above the din. But Sarah shook her head, anxiety written all over her features. Tom turned around, his expression shifting from focused concentration to surprise when he spotted them. Hey, there you are. A smile broke across his face, one that made Mary's heart ache with memories both good and bad. We were just about ready to eat. Yeah, just a moment, Mary replied, forcing a smile. She could feel Sarah's tension radiating through the air. As they both took a seat at the small round kitchen table, Mary felt the atmosphere shift. Tom kept chatting, filling the air with mundane updates about work, the weather and plans for the week. His laughter rang out, bright like sunlight, but to Mary, it felt tinged with shadows that she couldn't ignore. She exchanged quick glances with Sarah, sensing that the time for honesty was drawing near. Mary steeled herself and met Tom's eyes, needing to gauge his mood. "Tom, can we talk?" His smile faltered, replaced by curiosity and a hint of concern. "Of course. What's on your mind?" Here it came, the door to the truth slowly creaking open, but Mary hesitated. Sarah's fingers tensed beside her, the urge to divert the conversation palpable. But she couldn't. Not now. They needed to face the truth together. "Sarah." "She has something to say," Mary said, the words feeling heavy on her tongue. Sarah swallowed hard, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. "Tom," she began, her voice shaking. "I came back to tell you. I didn't just leave. I ran away from everything. From you. From our life." The air thickened, silence smothering the earlier warmth. Tom's expression shifted, his brow furrowing in confusion and hurt. "What do you mean?" "I didn't want to hurt anyone. But my actions hurt you more than I realized," Sarah continued, her voice growing steadier as she poured out years of unspoken truths. "I changed my name. I was involved with people I shouldn't have been. I thought if I left I could escape it all. But it was a lie. I ran from myself and from the love we had." Mary's heart pounded in her chest. It was over. The secret was out, and now they would face the fallout. She studied Tom's face, watching as his expression transformed, emotions flickering like a candle flame caught in a draft. "Why didn't you tell me when you left?" he asked, hurt lacing his tone. "You could have come to me. We could have faced it together. I thought I was protecting you. But I see now how wrong I was," Sarah replied, anguish lining her voice. "I don't expect your forgiveness. I just want you to know how deeply sorry I am." Tom's gaze dropped to his hands resting on the table, and Mary felt the air grow heavy with unspoken pain. Mary started, hoping to bridge the gap, but the words tangled in her throat. "Just give me a moment to process this," he finally murmured, the confusion in his eyes replaced by a storm of hurt and betrayal. Mary felt the weight of what was unraveling around them, an unseen thread fraying slowly but steadily. Suddenly, the laughter that once echoed around the kitchen felt far away, as if they were trapped in their own bubble of despair. "Do you think we can rebuild this?" Sarah's question pierced through, a beacon of hope amidst the gathering storm. But would they really be able to repair the fractures of the past? And would Tom find a way to forgive them both? Or would this moment break them forever? As they sat in silence waiting for Tom's response, Mary could almost hear the clock ticking, counting down to a moment that could change everything. The tension was palpable, and all hopes hung precariously on the edge of the next word spoken. What would he say? Tom's eyes remained fixed on the table, his fingers slowly tracing the outline of the grain. The moment stretched on, each tick of the clock echoing the gravity of their uncharted territory. Mary felt herself tense, worry coiling tightly in her gut. This was the precipice. What would his first words be? Finally, Tom sighed deeply, inhaling as if trying to absorb the very truth laid bare before him. He looked up, his gaze piercing through the fog of confusion, landing on Sarah. "You ran away from everything from me, and now you're back to face it?" "I don't understand why." Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "Because I couldn't live the lie anymore. I thought leaving would erase all my pain, but it only added to it. I want to make things right, and I need you to know that you meant everything to me." Her vulnerability seemed to cut through the thick air, but it also laid bare the wounds of betrayal. Mary watched as Tom's expression shifted again, hope flickering at the edges of despair, but clouded by uncertainty. "What you did? It hurt me, Sarah," he said quietly, anguish wrapping around each word. "I can't pretend like it didn't. You disappeared. There wasn't a single moment where I didn't think about what I did wrong, or what I could have done to keep you." Mary's heart ached for him. What's the right way to respond? She glanced at Sarah, who looked as if she might shatter at any moment. "Tom, please," Mary intervened, "we're all hurting. But Sarah's here now. Isn't that a step towards healing?" Tom shook his head, confusion intersecting with a glimmer of determination. "Healing? Doesn't work that way, Mary." He stood up, the chair scraping sharply against the tile floor, sending a jolt through Mary. "You can't just come back and expect me to open my arms. You disappeared, Sarah. How do I trust you again? How do I know you won't leave? What if you hurt us both again?" The tension crackled like electricity, filling every inch of the kitchen. Mary's breaths felt shallow as she watched Sarah's eyes fill with tears, her facade breaking under the weight of regret. In that moment they were all three of them spinning in a tornado of emotions, an unspoken longing for resolution clashing against the harsh realities of the past. "I know I don't deserve it," Sarah choked out, her voice barely holding on. "But I need to try again. I can't erase what I've done, but I swear I'll be here this time." Tom's eyes softened briefly, before hardening again under his layers of hurt. "That's the thing, Sarah. Swearing isn't enough." As the words hung in the air, the tension morphed into something heavy and unyielding, threatening to shift the dynamic of this fragile reunion. Mary felt a darkness creeping into her thoughts, the fear that this moment would spiral into something irreversible. She needed to say something, anything, before they lost each other again. "Maybe we need to talk about how to find trust together," she suggested softly, reaching out for Tom's hand. It felt small against his, but it was a gesture of solidarity, of hope. Tom glanced at her, then at Sarah, his eyes betraying the tornado of emotions raging beneath his surface. "Do we even know how to begin?" A question loomed in the air, heavy and unresolved. And yet, amidst their turmoil, Mary felt the stirrings of something deeper rising, a fragile sense of hope that began weaving through the cracks of their fractured lives. Would they find a way to pick up the pieces? Or was this simply the beginning of a heartbreak that wouldn't fade away? Just as Tom opened his mouth to speak again, the lights flickered, a reminder that life often comes with storms of its own. What lay ahead was cloaked in uncertainty, waiting to unfold. The lights flickered once more, plunging the room into a momentary darkness before resuming their steady glow. It felt like a pause, a breath held in anticipation, as if the universe itself was waiting for Tom to find his voice. Mary felt her heartbeat quicken, the tension straining the air. This was pivotal. Each moment hung heavy, suspended like raindrops on a tip of a leaf. She squeezed Tom's hand, silently urging him to take the leap, to allow himself the vulnerability of chasing hope instead of retreating into the shadows. Tom released a shaky breath, the words coming out with the weight of years. I don't know if I can do this, Sarah. Just showing up and asking for forgiveness. It feels like asking for a miracle." His voice trembled but remained firm, determined not to back down. "Maybe miracles are all we have left," Sarah replied, the passion in her tone barely masking her fear. "Maybe it starts right here, right now. I am willing to work for your trust, but I can't do it alone. I need you to let me in." Tom's brow furrowed. "You expect me to just let you in after everything? After you left? It's not that simple." Mary studied both of them, her heart aching as they clashed in raw honesty. "It's never simple, but that doesn't mean it isn't worth a try." Her voice was steady like a guiding light in their tempest. "You both have so much to say. Open up to each other. It's the first step." The silence was deafening as Tom wrestled with the storm of emotions swirling inside him. He blew out a slow breath, his eyes searching Sarah's face, looking for the flicker of a shared past, a familiarity he thought he lost. "What if I can't? What if Tom, I realized the weight of my choices. I could reached out, tried harder, but I didn't I won't hide from that truth anymore," Sarah interrupted, her voice rising with a mix of urgency and regret. "But it's time to break the cycle. You have to let me try. Please, I owe you that much." Her plea sliced through the air. Mary felt tears prick at her eyes, the desperation tangible. She could see it, the flickering flame of hope that could either ignite a new beginning or engulf them all in pain. Tom ran a hand through his hair, his frustration morphing into something more tender. "How can we even begin to piece this back together? I'm terrified of getting hurt again." "I am terrified too," Sarah admitted, her voice cracking as the tears streamed down her cheeks. "But I'd rather face that fear than live with the regret of never having tried." The room vibrated with a sense of vulnerability, raw and electric. As Sarah wiped her tears, Tom stepped forward, a hesitant yet determined expression settling over his features. "Okay, what do you need from me?" Mary nodded encouragingly, sensing the shift. It was more than words. It was the start of a connection emerging from the wreckage, slowly daring to take the first steps towards something real. "I need you to be honest about how much I've hurt you. I need to learn how to rebuild that trust piece by piece. If something feels off, we talk." No walls, Sarah urged, her voice shaky yet strong. Tom tilted his head, contemplating. And if I can't do it? If I just freeze up? Then we face that too, she said, hope glimmering in her eyes. There's no perfect roadmap to healing, but I'm willing to walk it. Just as relief seemed to wash over the trio, there was a sudden knock at the door, fracturing the moment. It felt like an unwelcome interruption to their fragile newfound rapport. With a shared glance filled with uncertainty and curiosity, they turned towards the door. Who could that be? What did they want? In that moment, everything seemed poised on a knife edge, teetering between hope and apprehension. The unanswered knock promised more than just a visitor. It threatened to unveil secrets and trials they were not prepared for. As Tom took a hesitant step towards the door, the air crackled again. Would this be a doorway to their next chapter or a plunge into further chaos? With each step Tom took toward the door, the air grew heavy with anticipation. Mary felt her pulse quicken, the uncertainty wrapping around her like a thick fog. She exchanged anxious glances with Sarah, both of them holding their breath, hoping that whatever lay beyond the door wouldn't tear apart the fragile thread of connection they had begun to weave. Tom glanced back, seeking reassurances from Mary, who nodded encouragingly. Before he reached for the doorknob, a wave of resolve overcame him. Whatever had brought Sarah back, whatever battles lay ahead, this moment felt pivotal. He opened the door, revealing a figure silhouetted against the daylight. A tall man stood there, his posture rigid, casting an imposing shadow that darkened the warmth of the sunlit kitchen behind him. Mary squinted, recognizing him from the past. This was Detective Reynolds, the man whose actions had played a vital role in Tom's wrongful imprisonment, and a haunting figure from the family's memories. Detective? Tom's voice wavered slightly, caught between curiosity and caution. What are you doing here? Reynolds shifted uncomfortably, his face a mask of regret. I need to speak with you. All of you, he said, his tone somber. It's about the case, the misinformation that led to the conviction. A sense of dread filled the room and Mary's stomach dropped. She exchanged a worried glance with Sarah, who looked just as apprehensive. Was this the moment they faced the ghosts of their past? What could Reynolds say that might alter the fragile healing they had just begun? Tom stepped outside, letting the door swing half open as he kept his body between Reynolds and the rest of the family. What do you mean? Has something come up? Yes, Reynolds replied, his eyes reflecting shadows of guilt. New evidence surfaced, evidence that could change everything. I believe there was a cover-up and I need you to know. Stop right there. Tom's voice sharpened, the heat of anger rising like a flame. You put my family through hell. You don't get to just stroll back and act like it's that simple. Reynolds held up his hands as if trying to deflect the intensity of Tom's pain. I understand and I don't expect forgiveness. But the truth needs to be told. I want to help. Frustration churned in the pit of Mary's stomach. This was supposed to be their moment of healing. Why did the past keep intruding? But as Tom stood, visibly processing this new information, a decision simmered beneath his surface. If you want to help, then say what you came to say, Tom finally replied, his voice steadying, the anger transforming into renewed determination. Reynolds took a deep breath, ready to unveil the truth. After your conviction, I found anomalies in the initial investigation. There were reports that were misfiled, evidence that was ignored. I've spent years trying to silence the mistakes, but I can't anymore. It's eating me alive. Mary felt tears prick her eyes. The buried truth clawed its way to the surface like a storm breaking free. The moment felt surreal, heavy with significance. Could this really be a turning point? Tom's expression hardened, realizing the bare trap of emotions present. And what does this mean for me? For my family? It means you can become whole again. Reynolds replied softly, sincerity rippling through his words. We may have a chance to exonerate you, but we need to take this small step, to find the courage and strength to pursue the truth. Mary caught her breath, hope glimmering in the air as she looked between Tom and Sarah. Could a possibility of justice really lie ahead? The strength of their family was at the forefront, pushing and pulling them in unexpected directions. Tom, you deserve to fight for your truth, Mary encouraged, her voice trembling but filled with conviction. We can't let the past dictate our future. Let's stand together this time. Tom's gaze softened, and she could see the flicker of resolve igniting there. Together. The word hung between them like a promise, an agreement forged in the fires of hardship and love. He turned to Reynolds, determination lighting his jaw. Then let us do this. If you really mean it, let us expose what was hidden. Let us start rebuilding. As they stood at the threshold, the door between them and the world beyond, Mary felt a billowing wave of hope that washed over the remnants of despair. Sarah found her voice again, stepping forward to Tom's side. I'll be here for you. All of you every step of the way. The air shifted, lighter now as they embraced the uncertainty together. Hope crackled in the air like the last golden rays of a sunset, beckoning them toward an unpredictable future, yet one ablaze with the warmth of forgiveness, love, and newfound determination. As they gathered in the kitchen, newfound connection sizzling with electricity, they looked toward each other, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together they root out the shadows of their past, and allow the light of healing to flourish. Let us not wait any longer, Mary said, feeling the strength of their collective resolve. It's time to put the past to rest. This was just the beginning of a new chapter. The world outside was unpredictable, but inside a flame burned bright, igniting a path of hope that lay spread before them. In the midst of their chaos, they had discovered the true meaning of family, one built on resilience, truth, and the unbreakable bonds of love. Now is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire and transform lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the momentum going. Comment below with your reactions and thoughts on this emotional journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. Your support means everything. Show your love for the channel today.